This is Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled. And now your host, A.D. Edwards.
Welcome to another episode of Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled. But before we dive in, please don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. And also, please like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners and viewers like yourself. Now, here's a question for you. What does it take to break barriers, reinvent yourself, and build success across completely different industries? Well, today's guest knows the answer. She started as a registered nurse, went on to found the first woman-owned telecom installation company in Silicon Valley, and later transformed her life again as a best-selling author, podcast host, and the queen of feeling fabulous. Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson is here to share the real story behind resilience, reinvention, and building a legacy on your own terms. And if you are an aspiring entrepreneur who's struggling right now, her journey just might be the spark you need to keep going. Dr. Lawson, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're glad to have you with us because your story is unique and it definitely is inspiring. So I want to first ask you, where are you from?
I'm from the Bay, California, Silicon Valley, born at Stanford. I'm a true Silicon Valley, Northern California. I'm going to say Golden State girl. Yep, that's me.
Okay. I'm familiar with that. My wife is from Nevada, just south of Napa Valley. So
yep,
I'm
north of San
familiar with the area.
Francisco.
Now, how did your upbringing shape the person you are today? Would you say?
I would say for me, my upbringing, so I'm the only granddaughter in my generation of kids. So I grew up with a whole bunch of boys. And I was a little skinny, timid girl. But when you play, back in the day when kids played outside, you just playing outside.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
even though I was a girl, nobody trying to be soft on me. I had to step up
Right.
my game and just learn to be tenacious and definitely if I wanted to achieve something, I was going to achieve that heck or high water. And so I think growing up around boys and just hanging out with them and understanding their energy and being able to stay feminine, but navigate with guys and around guys, I think has been a catalyst for my journey because I've done a lot of things and I definitely am a trendsetter, trailblazer. So I do have a correction. I am the first woman-owned, minority-owned telecommunications installation company in the United States.
Okay, we're gonna get to that. Now, you mentioned playing outside. It just took me back to those were the days when you were sent to your room. It was a punishment.
Oh,
Nowadays, the young ones want to go to their room.
exactly. Yeah, you
So
didn't want to
times have
go.
changed.
You did not want to be sent to your room. It was like, oh my gosh, telling you you couldn't go to the candy store and you was outside playing. But because we had them back in the day too, the candy store, the candy house, the
Yes.
candy,
Yep.
the
In the
candy
neighborhood.
large. Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, it is quite different today.
So you mentioned something I want to talk about in detail a little later, that you were the first woman to start a telecom company. Now, you say you were reared around your cousins and relatives who were boys. So you being in a field that's really dominated by men, I'm thinking that wasn't too intimidating to you at all.
Mm-mm. No, not at all. I mean, I had some instances when I first, started the company. I was a little young cutie back then. And I shouldn't say me because I co-founded it with my husband. It was we co-founded the company and there was a reason behind that. But I went to industry events where, I am a subcontractor in the construction industry. And back then there was no internet. We didn't even have a cell phone back then. But I mean, latest and greatest thing was the pager. And if you had one that got a text, you were either CEO or a drug dealer, calling it like it really was back then. But I would be at industry events and I'm thinking these guys coming to talk to me because they were curious, and I would only be like maybe one woman in attendance, a couple other ladies might
Hmm.
be in there, but they were helping or whatever. And what I found out was that the guys would be very open to answering questions and all of that, but there were a couple instances where I was surrounded by gentlemen, all older than me, and I was in my 20s, and they leaned in and told, and none of them looked like me. And they leaned in and told me, who the hell did I think I was coming to play in the good old boys network of the construction world? I didn't belong there. And they were going to do all they can to make sure that I was out of business within 2 years. And so, back then I was super hot headed, but I knew when it was appropriate to just stay in my lane and not respond. And I would look at them. And as I'm looking at them and they're all in after they got all the little feel good information they wanted to seek from me, I would say to myself, you don't know who the heck you're dealing with. Because now
Hmm.
you just, even if it was something that I was thinking about, oh, I'll just do this for a couple years. Now you just put the fire, you just put gas on the fire within me because now I've got to show you that
I
I
got to
do
prove
belong
them
in
wrong.
the industry, right? And who the hell do you think you are coming up to me to say these things to me because I'm an African American woman? So yeah,
Right. So this has made you even more determined to succeed.
tenacious. Hmm.
Yes. So, but before you got into the telecom industry, you were a registered nurse. Now, my question is, because many people feel that that is a profession that's always going to be in need. You always get more hours. You always can make more money. So, as being a nurse, what made you curious about entrepreneurship? Why the change?
So So I'm gonna go back just a tiny bit. I graduated from San Diego State at the age of 20 with a degree in communications because I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. Worked for a television station all through college. When it came for me to graduate, they told me they didn't have broadcast journalists that looked like me, but I could still do my job that I was doing when I was in college. So I was already married, moved back up to Northern California, and my husband was in engineering school. So I'd go to engineering school. So I got in, took some tests, got right into where he was, and we ended up graduating at the same time. Went to interviews throughout all of Silicon Valley, with major electronics firms and defense contracting firms back then, right? Late 80s, late 80s. And I would get ton of interviews, every from IBM to Hewlett Packard, Intel. I'm calling them all out because I can. And the men that would interview me were white males, and I was young, and I maybe was 21, maybe 21 and a half. And they would say, "Oh, you're fabulous. We would love to have you." And then it came to a point in the interview, they would all do the same thing. They'd lean back in their chairs and fold their arms and say, "But you're going to be working around men that are your father's age, and until we can figure out how to make them comfortable, we can't hire you just yet. But stay by the phone on the
Mm.
wall, stay by the phone because we're gonna be giving you a call." Well, I never got that call. So, after about the 15th interview where I was told that and turned down, I went back to school, got the nursing degree, came right out, got into emergency room trauma nursing right away, got all the advanced certifications, and then became a flight nurse. And, it was during that time me working nights and my husband who graduated and got a job in the up and coming telecom world, working days. So we were shifts passing in the night. And finally one morning I said, "Hey," as I'm walking out, "we can start a business ourselves." And he's like, "We don't know nothing about starting no legal business." Okay, I'm being for real. We know how to start something in the hood, but nothing legal. And I said, "We can do it." I said, "Because the person you work for, all their clients only want you to come do the work. And I'll stay at my nursing job, keep our benefits." And he was like, "All right, whatever." So I went down that day to the city of San Jose, got the business license, and within 2 weeks, we had our first customer, which was a global financial institution that he was doing work for with the other company. And then within 4 weeks, we had 7 of the big 8 accounting firms in San Francisco, and you know we were on our way. And so that's kind of how that came. And I kept my nursing license. I'm still licensed today, in multiple states. Not clinically practicing anymore, but I think it was the greatest gift for me. And here's a funny thing: every hospital that I worked at, I was always the only female RN.
Really?
So it's the theme with the guys, but it was just I had the most beautiful people that I worked with the guys when stuff was going down and they pulling out, 9 meals and trying to do stuff in the emergency department or in the waiting room, the guys were there and so I just think, the divine has a path for us and sometimes we see it as a direct path, but sometimes you gotta do some, take some detours and things that to get you to back to where you need to be so you can go forward and be successful and deal with all kind of people. Me dealing with those men at a young age in business telling me, who the heck do I think I am? And then me dealing with people in the emergency department who critically sick, dying, multiple gunshots, things of that nature, having gangbangers, banging in the waiting room or holding the gun to my head or whatever the case may be, led me to where I am today. I know there's nothing that I can't face and be successful and come through shining bright. Now I might come out with a little scars, a little rough,
Uh-huh.
little wounds and stuff, but it's all in the growth that allows me to serve the people that I'm able to serve. And I think it was just my divine plan. And of course, there's that reoccurring theme with the fellas.
Okay. So it's obvious you're not uncomfortable being the only woman in the telecom business at the time. Here's
No,
here's a
why?
question for you. I don't want to assume, but I know most people do. Did you have any fears when you were making the transition from a stable nursing job to starting a company? As your husband says, we don't know anything about legal business. Did you have any fears?
No, I didn't have any fears at all. The biggest fear maybe that I might have was that I wouldn't be able to serve the clients to the best of my ability and or I say for the best of our ability because I was the only female in the company and was all guys. And so um I think that was the only fear. I'm a perfectionist and so I like things done the right way to go out the right way. And again, if I'm working on a patient, I can't halfway do stuff. It has to be perfect. You know what I mean? And I think that's a theme that I've carried out my whole life. I'm a perfectionist, and so, the fear I had was, not being able to perfectly and perfectionately, uh, roll out the project or have my guys be successful the way the client envisioned. And, I'm happy to say that 100% client satisfaction, 100% client retention, 100% finishing projects within budget and ahead of schedule. So I think it just kind of rolled out to my team.
Well, that's great. That's great. It's obvious from what I'm hearing today that what allowed you to continue going beyond challenges in a male dominated industry was your background and your belief in yourself. And so that's very important. But when you look back, what would you say gave you the courage to keep going, even when you hit obstacles and challenges? Because every business owner has faced obstacles and challenges. What kept you going when you faced yours?
That I knew that I can continue moving forward. I knew that I was on a journey not only for me, but for my family. I'm the first a business owner in my family. I'm the first in a lot of stuff in my family, but I was the first one to go off to a 4-year college at 16. The first healthcare professional. I think I am the only healthcare professional in my family. First person to have that electrical engineering degree, as well as the first person to start a business. And so for me, it was more about creating a legacy. Things that come upon our plate, even if we're meant to do them, are not going to be easy. Doesn't mean that we should stop when we have what we call a failure. I don't see my failures or shortcomings as that. I see them opportunities for me to learn and grow about doing something differently that will set me up to be successful. Just like your post in the back, mindset is everything. If you fail or already have it up here in your head that you're a failure, you're not going to be successful, guess what? That's your mindset. Things will come upon you in your life that will lead you to confirm you're a failure and that you're not going to be successful. But if you believe that there are no failures, and yeah, you can try a lot of things and you may not have the success that you are looking to obtain, there's always wisdom in that lesson. There's always wisdom in that challenge that you can take forth and be able to apply it to another situation and just go like gangbusters. So I never thought I was going to be a failure. And when things did get dismal, because, being in business is not easy, I just always knew that I just had to keep pushing forward. Probably happened from a lesson I learned when I was 10. But yeah, that's just the way I am. I'm very resourceful. And so I'm always going to find a way, a strategy, uh, a needle in the haystack, so to speak,
Hmm.
to keep us going forward or to keep me going forward.
Okay, so can you share the lesson you learned at the age of 10
Oh
with
yeah.
us, or
Yeah,
no?
I'd love to share this. So when I was 10 years old, the couple things happened. One of them was this is how tenacious I was. So 10, you think of the early 70s. And with me playing with the boys. So my two of my friends, they going to baseball trials. Well, you want to come? Like, yeah. So we back in the day, your mama and daddy at work. You get on your bike, you ride 2 miles to go to baseball tryouts, right? So me and my buddies, we jamming. I get there and they're looking at me like, "Hey, little girl, what you doing here?" I'm like, "I come to try out for baseball." They're like, "Oh, softball tryouts is in 2 weeks." I'm like, "I didn't come to try out for no softball. I came to try out for baseball." So long story short, they were telling me I couldn't do it, and I was not leaving. I said, "I rode my bike 2 miles, and I'm better than him, and he can't even hit." Anyways. So one of the moms heard me, and she said, "Let her try out. What is it gonna hurt?" Okay. So they're like, "All right, we'll let her try out." So they let me try out. Pitcher, the coach was, throwing from the middle of the pitcher's mound to home plate. I start tagging the ball. Then he stepped back and was pitching to me regular. Put me at infield, I could catch. Put me outfield, I could catch. So at the end, there was the dilemma. Okay, we got this little girl. She's really good. And I'm just out there playing.
Mhm.
They were arguing about who's gonna have me on their team. So I made the team.
Oh,
I started at second base. I made all stars my first year, 10-year-old and 11-year-old. And I was getting ready to go into junior high school. And the only reason why I stopped was because I started liking the little boys, and my cousin said, "They ain't gonna never like you because you better than them." And so I stopped playing.
he had a point.
That was lesson number one. But the other one was I also was recruited to run track and field. And I was running AAU track and field, and I was doing 100 meters, and I got put into the 400, the 440 back in the day,
Mhm.
400 meters. And I hated it because I was coming in last place every track meet. So one day I'm out there having a pissy fit. I hate this race. I'm just like, my coach was like, "You better get it together, girl." Like, oh. And there was a guy training in the middle of the field, and he's like, "Come here." And I'm like, and it was a white guy. I'm like, He's like, "What's wrong?" I tell him I'm losing all the time. So what he did was we developed this relationship, and he taught me about affirmations, visualizing the success I wanted, visualizing myself coming in first. Because if I couldn't see it, it wasn't going to happen.
Mhm.
Meditation before I got out of bed. He said, take some deep breaths before you hop out of bed and think about what you want to do today, what kind of day you want to have, so on and so forth. And slowly but surely over the season, I was losing, and I was not in last, and I was in third, and then I started winning. And I was watching the 1976 Olympics with my dad, who would take me out to practice all the time. And I seen the gentleman who I saw in the middle of the field training. And I only knew by his first name. And so I told my dad, I'm like, "Hey, hey, hey." And he's like, "Oh my gosh. Well, that gentleman who was taught me all this wisdom that was way beyond the age of a 10-year-old from the hood, so to speak, had won the gold medal in the Olympics in the decathlon, and the rest was history." Never saw him again, but the lessons he shared with me, the love he shared with me, every Monday after I came back from a track meet, the wisdom that was beyond anything that I had ever heard of that I still practice today, tells me that I can be successful. And he would always say, "There's no failures. There's always room for improvement." So if you come in last, that's not a failure. And then we would talk about, where did you get tired? Maybe try and I just started improving. So those I think are two very lessons. One, I'm very tenacious. Two, I'm going to
Hmm.
pay attention. And my failures weren't failures. They were lessons for me to learn how to do something differently so that I could see the success that I desired to obtain.
How did you know that at the time getting into telecom was the right opportunity and the right move?
I did it. I did it. The only thing I wanted to do was to be able to spend time with my husband, um, like a normal family.
Hmm.
Not be passing ships, him coming going out in the morning, me coming in the morning, and then sleeping all day, get up, cook, and then he go to bed and I'm off to work. Um, I did it. I just knew that we could start a business. I can't tell you how I knew what to do because at back then I didn't know a lot of stuff. There was no internet. You wanted to research something, you had to go to the library and use the Dewey Decimal System. I don't even know
Right.
kids know about that today, right? You had to pull.
I
I'd be
know
out there
about
with
it.
25 books. I'll open to certain pages, right? But I didn't know, and then lo and behold, and I think again I have to say divinely put upon my path because I am a visionary and I can see things. And it is my astrological sign to be a visionary. So I'm a visionary and I can see trends and things way before they happen. So I just think it was a gift. Like when we went from having no smart homes to people started getting, internet in their homes or, setting up the speaker systems and things of that in their home. We went into the residential industry and I saw that coming about 4 years before it actually started happening. So I just think it's just the divine just leading me, on my path.
Now, as I mentioned on the onset of our discussion, you reinvented yourself more than once. What would you say is the hardest part of letting go of a former identity to step into a new role?
Um, I didn't real I would say I have all my identities still.
Okay.
Multiple personality, but it's realizing when an identity has served its purpose, and it doesn't have to necessarily leave you. You just put it back on like these books, and you just put it on the back shelf because you never know when you need to pull out that particular identity for a certain situation. So it's like, a cook being in the kitchen. You may not always use salt and pepper. You may not always use Cajun seasoning, but it's knowing when to pull out that spice for whatever it is you're creating. That's the right thing. And so
Well,
that's just what I say with my identities. They're still here. It's just knowing when I need to pull out sister girl, you know,
so
or
how do you know that? Like you went from nurse to telecom to author to podcast host. Um, what are the signs that tell you it's time to pivot from one path to another?
um it's in my gut. I would
Hmm.
say I'm very intuitive that way. And so it's in my gut. So when something comes to me, I do a I do a check-in with myself, but it's a whole process that I've been doing for a long time. But I do a check-in and see how it sits and resonates within my gut, or as they say, your solar plexus chakra. And from that, I can tell a lot. If it's resonating and harmonistically flowing with that area, then I know it's something that I'm supposed to do and I will be guided on that particular journey where I'm not putting something completely away. It's just sitting on the shelf until you need to use it. But now I'm opening up to allow another aspect in my life to be put up front or put in front of me. And so it's just I think checking in with my gut, and then of course, you gotta check in with your mind because in your gut, it's all about "I feel," but, right here, your third eye behind here is, where your pineal gland sits in your brain. It's about seeing. And then up here in your head where your crown chakra is, it's about understanding and knowing. So gut, how you feel connects to all the other two. And it's a divine line. If there's any inkling or apprehensions within that energy moving up, you will feel it. And then you'll be able to say, maybe
What do
not.
you say? What do you say to those who are listening or watching and they are aspiring entrepreneurs and they may set a goal to do something, but when it starts becoming real, they get this voice in their head telling them, who am I to do this? What's your advice to this person?
You're absolutely the right person to do it. If you hear that, you're absolutely the right person to do it. And I would say definitely what's going to help you is to definitely have a strategic plan. You have to have a plan. Be able not plan for today, but plan for 6 months, a year, 3 years, or 5 years out. That way, you have a vision that can lead you forward. Um, So, plan, you have to have strategy, and you have to be good at implementing stuff and understanding when the implementation of whatever it is may be flawed or may need to be tweaked a bit so that you can see the results you're looking for. So, plan, a strategy to implement that plan, and then markers to check in, make sure things are in checks and balances, and where
Hmm.
you, if possible, need to make those adjustments, you can do that.
Now, because your story is very interesting, you left being a registered nurse, you started a telecom company, and you started a few other things after that. There are a lot of people out here who feel that they once wanted to start something on their own, but now they've missed their chance. What do you say to these people who feel that way?
It's never too late. It's never too late. It may have been the wrong season, but the seasons ebb and flow, so it's never too late. If there's something you really wanna do, go do it. 'Cause you know
Hmm.
what? You never know what may happen. You don't wanna be that person on the deathbed in the emergency department or ICU or somewhere thinking, "Dang, I wish I woulda did this. I wish I woulda wrote that book. I wish I woulda called my granddaughter who I haven't spoke to in 20 years. I wish I woulda stuck with that business, which is now a multi-trillion dollar industry." You don't wanna be that person, so go do it. Do it. Do it. And if it's not meant for you to do, you'll know that because you go check in
Hmm.
with your gut, your third eye, and your crown chakra. You gonna know that energy will not flow. It will not harmonistically flow up, right? There'll be some barriers, there'll be some breakage. It won't harmonistically flow up. But don't be that person on your deathbed wishing you would have did things because you can't go back
Hmm.
and change anything.
Now, let's talk about mindset and wellness. You're referred to as the queen of feeling fabulous. What does that really mean in practical everyday terms?
I feel fabulous every day. So let me put it to you this way.
You have to. I'm not going to let you get away with that one. You have to elaborate.
So the way I take it is, so I told you that I had a 17-year journey with my health and well-being. I the journey started when I was 8 and ended when I was 25. And no matter how many doctors I went to, I could not get a diagnosis of what I had. And I went to a lot of doctors. So I'm in Northern California. I've got the best of the best of the best. I'm going to Stanford. They couldn't diagnose me with anything. But then at 25, all of a sudden, I had this epiphany, this download of things that I had been doing, put in a sequence, and I did it. And within 9 months, I was completely healed. And so, with regards to that, I know that there will be challenges, there will be things that come upon the path. But if it really is meant for you to do, it's meant for you to do. And I done lost the question again in my thing, but tell
The,
me the question one more
you're the queen of feeling fabulous. That's what
Fabulous.
you're known for.
That's it.
So, what does that mean in everyday practical terms? What does this mean to being the queen of feeling fabulous? Is
Gotcha.
it
So, because of that 17-year journey with my health and well-being, and I have not suffered since, um, no pharmaceuticals. I'm a bill of health when I go. I only go to the doctor once a year, and she's like, "I don't know why you're here because every time you come, you blood pressure's right, cholesterol, blood work is right, everything. You look great. You don't look your age, all that kind of stuff." Um, and I do believe that I do feel fabulous because I suffered for 17 years not feeling fabulous and
Mhm,
faking it,
mhm,
right? And so To me, that means the fact that I'm able to wake up, have a beautiful home, beautiful dog, beautiful, people in my life. Um, and I feel fabulous. That's how I ebb and flow. Now, how I got the name was I was going to conferences and things of that nature when I had started the spa back in 2008. And I would go to this conference and you get to know people. You see them at the same conference and they're like, girl, how you doing? I'm like, fabulous. Girl, how you feeling? Fabulous. Girl, how's
Okay.
business? Fabulous. That was my word. And so
Okay.
two very influential ladies was like, we gonna call you the queen of feeling fabulous. And I said, why are you calling me that? They're like, because you always feel fabulous. You look fabulous. When you step into a room, everybody thinks you're fabulous. So, and
Go with it.
no
Go
matter
with
what we
it.
ask you, it could be raining cats and dogs outside, and you're gonna be like, it's fabulous, right? And that's how I got the queen of feeling fabulous, because I really do feel fabulous. I mean, after experiencing 17 years of very traumatic pain and I'm being diagnosed and no medicine could help and all of that, I'm very grateful to wake up each and every day and be done. Oh, I'm so glad I feel fabulous.
Well, that's a great thing to feel, but you have to admit feeling fabulous is the result of that's the external result of something that you did ahead of time to get to that point. And the reason I say this is because entrepreneurs sometimes are so focused on the business that they may neglect their health. So, how do you think entrepreneurs can be fabulous feeling and still be productive with their business? What should they be doing health wise?
So health wise, first of all, go in and get your physical, make sure your blood work is in check and your blood pressure and all of that stuff is check. I do truly believe in that. There's wisdom in that information. Next, get up before you get out of bed. Say, give thanks to being able to wake up and see another day. Gratitude is so huge in whether you think it or you say it out loud. The energy of gratitude has power within you and all around you. So say gratitude, be thankful. I meditate. You can meditate for 5 minutes. And that athlete taught me the meditation thing at 10. Like,
Mhm.
what kind of girl from the hood knows about meditation back then? But I meditate, and I just meditate and let whatever is in me. Sometimes I have chaotic energy. I let it release. I see it coming down and going down into the earth and back up. And then, of course, I eat right and I exercise. So I'm a gym person. I go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I've been doing it for about 37 years. I think it may have been the athlete thing in me. I wasn't that good of an athlete, but I was pretty good. But I think because I've seen what my family is predisposed to, and I've seen the good and the very bad and ugly in the ER. I don't want that to be me. And so I make sure I go to the gym, get that exercise in, and then I eat specifically for my dosha or my body type. Things that are going to nourish my inside, things that are going to help facilitate healing, things are going to keep my systems in balance and operating fully functionally. And so, yeah, I just think if entrepreneur, you have to, I'm going to say this, not just if you're an entrepreneur, but just a person, you have to make yourself the biggest, most greatest priority in your life because no one else is going to do that for you. No one. And if you don't put yourself first and take care of yourself first, at the end of the day, you will never have time to take care of yourself. And the cycle repeats until you manifest a disease or illness. And now you either have to really take care of yourself, stop and pay attention because it'll break you down, or transition and die. So the choice is up to you, but there's nothing more important than you of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. When you have that, you become basically bold and unstoppable.
How do you think wellness ties into innovation and entrepreneurship as a whole, in the ways that most people may not even expect?
So
Is there
wellness is a
intersection?
yeah, I think wellness in with regards to innovation is wonderful. Look at it. So wellness is in every aspect of life. If you look outside, generally in the summertime the grass is dead. Well, That's a state of well-being, right? You look in your business. Are you making a lot of money? You got big profits, breaking even, or you losing money? That's a state of well-being in your business. Yourself internally, how do you feel? Now you're not gonna wake up and feel peaches and cream every single day, but that doesn't mean you're not well. It just means you're just not feeling that kind of way. And there's something that may come across your day that bring a big smile to your face and change that energy. But that's tapping into your own well-being. And then, people that you ebb and flow with. If you always around negative nagging Nancy's energy is gonna come upon you whether you try to block it or not. If you always
Uh-huh.
around somebody, girl, I'm feeling good today, my blah blah blah, but they're not doing anything to make improvements, that's going to affect you. So pay attention to what you're doing. Make yourself the priority first before you take care of your wife, your kids, your grandma, your daddy, your mama. You got to make yourself a priority because no one else is going to make you a priority. And it's
Like
not
on the
being selfish, right?
like on the airplane, you got to put the mask on you
So
before
for
you can help the person
exactly.
next to you.
Like you can't help somebody if you ain't got the mask on and they got the mask on and the plane is and there's no oxygen, right? So
Right.
put yours on first, then you can help people, right? It's the same thing. Make yourself a priority first, not last. And
Now, when you talk about this, to those who are listening, I believe I picked up on something. I want to talk about entrepreneurs who may think they don't have time to take care of themselves. You didn't mention about being a obsessed working out person. You mentioned a few times a week. You mentioned eating to change some things in your diet. So help the listeners and viewers understand that they could take care of themselves without making these drastic. You don't have to be a fitness instructor to do this.
yeah, you don't. So you can start very small. I'm gonna give you some things you could do. It's very small, simple, but it'd be game changer for you. I said when you wake up, before you get out of bed, you open your eyes, you give thanks to the creator and, plan what you want to do in your mind, have a little meditation session. If you need to check in with your energy and all of that. Before you put anything in your mouth, whether it's pharmaceutical, your prescriptions, whatever, get you a glass of water, whether it's room temperature is great, warm it up. Get you lemon, take a few, cut the lemon in half, drop a few drops or put some lemon juice in that water and drink that first. The first thing you do before you have your coffee, your tea, whatever it is, before you eat, take your medicines. Do that first. What that does is to wake up your body. It wakes up your body. The lemon will bring a fresh breath of energy, that smell to you. And then the water and lemon actually helps to wake up your digestive system. So your liver wakes up and begins to know that it's time for me to wake up. I've been a hiatus during the night. It's time for me to wake up so I can begin metabolizing food properly. Your digestive system is receiving some nourishment from the lemon juice and the warm water. So it's lubricating things and getting basically things going. That is one thing I would highly suggest. And it's so easy to do. So easy. And if you don't have lemon, you can use lime or orange juice, but lemon is the best because it helps to wake up that liver that is detoxifying everything we take in. And it also helps to jumpstart the detoxification process for the liver.
That's that's good to know. Now, for those listeners and viewers, we're not giving medical advice. We're just talking about what helps you. So that's good to know. Now, you've built businesses across different industries. Would you say that there's a common thread between them?
Um, there is, then there isn't. So starting a business, the processes are all the same. It doesn't matter if it's a healthcare business or a tech business or auto mechanic shop or a coffee shop. The processes are just all the same. You got to have a plan, strategy, execution phase, and all of that kind of stuff, right? Um, so I would say that with me, I have, the health and wellness, wisdom and wealth business, as well as a telecom business, completely two different clientele that I'm going to be dealing with. Um, but they kind of go together. So in the wealth component or the wealth uh, aspect of the tree with my blissful living for you business, that ties into my business. I can talk about things that happened in my business that's led me to come on the top 50 women-owned businesses in Silicon Valley. And that ties into that wealth pillar, so to speak. Um, Somebody that might be in tech and do real estate on the side. They have a
Mhm.
tech, they work in tech or have a tech company, but they also maybe do real estate on the side. Well, the technology ebbs and flows into the real estate aspects. And with the, advent of AI being launched out to the world, it's been around forever, but, that's being launched out to us. Uh, you can utilize the tools in both businesses to develop strategy plans, things, research, all of that kind of stuff. So I think it doesn't matter whether you're an author. I've written 10 books, 10 best-selling books and 2 international best-selling books. Um, I pull from different areas of my life. I pull from my telecom company. I pull from my health and wellness business. I pull from my experience as a registered nurse. I pull from just being a girl surrounded by boys, being
Uh-huh.
a girl that, just ebbs and flows that way. But everything within your life is synergistically connected. And that's where the meditation comes in, because if you take moments throughout the day to meditate, you'll begin to see the patterns and the channels of how everything in your life is connected and ebb and flows. There might be some, roadblocks in some places of all that, but you'll be able to see that there's a connection. And when you can see that connection, it can take you to places you only imagine.
Speaking of that, when your business began to scale and grow, how did you learn to manage money and wealth as the business grew?
Well, it was interesting. I'm just saying it was interesting, back when I started the telecom company, and we started off with gangbusters. Right away, I knew that I wanted to make sure I had all the legalese stuff correct. So that
Uh-huh.
was the number one thing. Um, because then, there was accountability with the money that we are making. Wasn't like I had a bag of money like a drug dealer back to the day, and it's at my grandmama's house, and then I got a bag over here at my mama's house, if I got a bag at my sister out, you know what I mean? Uh, and I do want to say some of those fellas were very entrepreneurial. I'm going to say people because it was women. I know women that was doing it too. Very entrepreneurial, but it's just about making sure that you protect yourself so that there's no open doors or little cracks or avenues for the people, Uncle Sam, to come in and
Mhm.
snack foods those things for you. So it's just about protecting yourself and making sure that you do things legally. Always have an attorney look over documents, or one that you can reach out to. You don't have to have it necessarily on a retainer, but you could have one that will work with you when you need it. Make sure your accounting, your books are always you know kosher, because
In order, yeah.
those are the 2 things that will shut you down in a heartbeat. Your books ain't right, and then the legal ease stuff.
Do you have any mistakes, which we already call learning lessons, around money or business that taught you valuable lesson?
Yeah, keep trying to spending to be keep I would say spending to keep up with the Joneses, except for in the
Mhm.
city that I lived in, my family was the Joneses, but trying to keep up that persona and the need in it wasn't up here in front, it was way buried down in the back from some inadequacy that I felt that I had growing up, that now that I got this money, I need to show. But I'm not a flashy type of person, so it wasn't like
Mhm.
that, but well, that Range Rover is coming out. Let me go buy that
Mhm.
one. Well, you got one. Well, I'm gonna trade that one and get the new one in. Well, you driving a Mercedes? Well, yeah, but I need a Range Rover because oh, you know what? We got this nice big house. Let's go buy another big house.
Mhm.
Well, the kids are getting ready to go off to college. Well, yeah, So the keeping up with the Joneses can be detrimental to your personal life as well as your business life. Just stay in your lane. You don't have to flow show, as we say. If you're successful, people will see it. They will hear about you. And that's the biggest thing, particularly for people of color. When we start getting money, then, we start doing those type of things because we want to be the Joneses or we keeping up with the
Mhm.
Joneses. But when you get to a certain level of money, You no longer need to do that because people already know. So then it becomes, what else are you gonna do? Well, create a legacy, set up a nonprofit, do something that's going to benefit society moving forward. So yeah, I mean, I can go on and on and on about that, but basically make sure you have your legal ease in your accounting books. Right.
S- Yes, it's good advice. Now, is there anything that you wish you knew about building systems and structure before you started your first company?
Oh yeah. Like I didn't know anything. I mean, I knew you get the check, you put it in the bank. I know we had the expenditures. You try to match the expenditures and hope that, at the end of the month, the profits overseeded the expenditures. Um, again, there was no internet, there was no QuickBooks, there was none of that when I started. But everything was still done handwritten. Good thing I took accounting in college, but um, yeah, there was just and then going to the library, which was a huge resource because I didn't know anything. Now you can just Google something, but also surround yourself with people that are more successful than you.
Hmm. I hear that
Because
a lot.
yeah, because a couple things, people that are more successful than you will guide you and help you to help prevent you from making the mistakes that could be detrimental. Um, they have connections, and if they like you, they'll open up these connections for you that can lead to more potential wonderful opportunities.
Hmm.
Um, and you also get access to their, I say they black book, they Rolodex. Um, and that can be hugely beneficial. So always surround yourself with people that are more successful than you and watch what they do in how they operate their business. Not necessarily in their personal life, because we've had some people that are hugely successful but very scandalous in their personal life. Just watch what they do with regards to how they mind their business and the business
Hmm.
processes and the people in their business. And that will give you a wealth of information.
Now, many industries have trends. The wellness industry, as well as the telecom industry, especially in the telecom industry, things change all the time. So, how do you balance the passion that drives innovation with the discipline that sustains a business? Because, well, I'll just leave it, let you answer that question. How do you
So
make
for
the balance?
So for my business, we're infrastructure, so it really hasn't changed for us at all. Like,
Okay.
yeah, there might be a new piece of equipment where before we didn't have wireless access points. Well, it's just a new piece of equipment. So we're infrastructure. The infrastructure, I don't think it really changes. It might evolve, but I don't think
Hmm.
it rarely doesn't like change from an apple to an orange. Like, you know, Facebook to Instagram or something like that,
Hmm.
it doesn't evolve like that. So, for us, it's pretty simplistic. Now, on the other end, with my Blissful Living for You business, where we're focused on wellness, wisdom, and wealth, you got everybody in the grandmama that's a coach, but they don't necessarily have the credentials to be guiding people on the journeys if they're guiding them. And then people wonder why stuff happens or doesn't happen. Um, and that industry is always changing. There's always new methodologies. There's always new discoveries with regards to the utilization of natural practices over Western medicine and the integration of both. And so there's always things that change outside in that scope of business. But if you stay true to the basics and your principles with regards to why you start the business, any change that comes upon you, any new advances, anything like that, you'll be able to see what fits and plug them into where they need to
Hmm.
go and what doesn't fit and what you can let go and just bypass.
Talking about wisdom for aspiring entrepreneurs now. If someone is struggling right now, they're overwhelmed, they're broke, they're burnt out, what's the very first step you'll tell them to take?
Pick up my book, 365 Days of Affirmations for a Year in Bliss.
Hold
um,
that book up, Dr. Lawson. Hold that book up so the viewers can see it. We'll also have a link on YouTube. So go ahead.
you can get it on Amazon, but you know, for people that Or repeat the question for me one more time because I want to make sure I'm
They're
succinctly.
they're a entrepreneur, they're struggling, they're overwhelmed, they're not making money, they're broke, they're burnt out, they're ready to give up. What do you think should be the first step they should take?
I think they should, first of all, give thanks for the challenges that they're going through, because without the challenges that they're going through, they won't be able to see the strategic plan that they need to implement to circumvent some of those challenges. And then to keep moving forward, even if you have to not go at 100 miles per hour moving forward, if you have to stop and go a half a mile a minute, a half a mile an hour. Don't ever give up the journey of moving forward, even if you got to take those little baby steps. Sometimes these things come upon us where we need to pay attention and we need to slow down, slow the roll, and pull back. And it's in those moments where we understand the reason why we need to pull back that we can then begin standing strong and move forward, even if it's taking those baby steps. So don't give up. Continue moving forward. I know it's difficult. If you are struggling to keep up, maybe you hire somebody. College students are great for interns, and they are probably the most technological savvy group that you have access to. You don't have to
Mhm.
pay them $45 an hour or whatever it is wherever you live. You can, give them $100 a week or whatever it is you negotiate. But there's always someone available to you to help you. If you're overwhelmed, again, incorporate exercise into your life. You don't necessarily have to go to the gym. Go outside and take a walk in nature. It's one of the most beautiful things that you can do to help ground that overwhelmed energy by just walking out in nature, paying attention to the trees, the ground, the grass, the animals, whatever it is, or the cars, wherever you live. But it's a wonderful way to ground some of that overwhelmed energy. Remember to make yourself that priority first. Make
Mhm.
yourself priority. If you like taking a shower and you can utilize all that stress flowing off of your body and down the drain, do that. If you're a bath person like me, run you a nice bath, get you some nice Epsom salts, some essential oil, lavender for calming, rosemary for invigoration, whatever it is that you like to do, orange for having just bright happiness come into your life. Do what it is that makes you feel good, even if you only get 2 minutes to do it.
Mhm.
Because in that 2 minutes, you will understand that your journey needs to continue. And this is just a small blip on that path to bliss. And so sometimes these blips come up. You might have to walking on your journey. You might have a tree that's in the road, a big boulder, or
Mhm.
a crevice, or mud, quicksand. It doesn't mean you stop. You just got to figure out how to get around it. And if you truly are overwhelming, you think you should stop and it's just not right for you, you can stop. You can
Mhm.
always come back to it. But make sure you stay in a good balanced place with your health and your wisdom, your mindset, your spiritual energy, and your emotional energy so that you don't circumvent and cause medical challenges to come up within you because they will. They definitely will.
What would you say is the one of the biggest myths about entrepreneurship that you would like to debunk
Yeah,
to
to
our
be an
listeners?
entrepreneur is easy. You can be an entrepreneur, you start making a lot of money right away. That's not the case.
Uh-huh.
Anybody can be an entrepreneur. It's those that have the longevity and sustainability that continue to be successful. I've seen so many people that be an entrepreneur, they go get that business license and I'm an entrepreneur and you can see them next year, girl, what happened? Girl, her, you know what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
starting a business is easy, but keeping that business is hard and it's
Uh-huh.
not easy. These billionaires we see, they got people working under them that allow them to do what they do, where we see them all in the news all the doggone time now.
Mhm.
But you best believe years ago when they were on the entrepreneurial path, they weren't out like they're not doing what they do
Yes.
today. Of course, we didn't
Of
have this
course.
technology either, but you know what I'm saying? They were minding their
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So, um,
They were down in the trenches, making it happen.
exactly. Everyone starts in the trenches. Everyone starts in the trenches. It's just sometimes some of us are meant to stay down in the trenches and others are meant to elevate to the stratospheres. It's okay. It's not wrong. It's just the way it is for us.
Who inspired you when you were building your career? I know you talked about the gentleman that inspired you when you were younger, playing sports, But were there any mentors or role models that helped shape your path, even out in the good old boys network, all men network?
No, not in particularly, but I do want to say that there was a group of ladies. So I was this Lone Ranger soldier, have, comfortable with around the guys and gals, but I always was just, and I have to say, I'm a workaholic. So was always in my office, in my desk. And there was an incident happened when the business was a huge wake up call. You go to the bank and he told you ain't got no money in the bank. You're like, wait a minute, I just had X amount of dollars yesterday. Well, Uncle Sam, you know how they do, right? But it was in that moment that I realized I didn't know about being a business owner, and I needed to be around successful women in business, women business owners that can help me. My personal banker at that time introduced me to this organization. And yeah, I had to drive 45 minutes from my home to these meetings, but I did. I broke the mold. I'm like, I'm just going to go out and do it. And it was that organization that these ladies that had very high, like I'm one of the top 50 women owned. I'm down towards the bottom. These were in the middle and at the top. And the lady at that time had an $856 million electronic firm.
Hmm.
Okay. And so it was these ladies that saw something in me and asked me questions and allowed me to have access to their Rolodex. I got that corporate attorney. I got the accountant that could help me get money and lines of credit for my business. I got that office space. I got in the media that brought more attention to the business
Hmm.
because it was it was like this woman owns this telecom company. It was just like something that stuck in people's head because it didn't. Well, I didn't own a fashion company. I owned a telecom company, male
Yeah,
dominated industry.
it's not
But
the norm.
yeah, but it was these women that in this the and I'm gonna say it, the National Association of Women Business Owners that I am so grateful uh, for, what they did for me back then and even today, because without them, I don't think I would have been in business, celebrating 35 years in business, and, I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I had. I actually became board member, sat on that board for 9 years, and I'm a past president of the Silicon Valley chapter where I increased their membership from 65 to 285 people during my tenure, women during my tenure, and me being the woman of color, where I had a diverse following of members that were joining up that were also women of color, Latinas, African Americans, Asian, and so um, that opportunity and those women and the opportunities and the people they introduced me to opened up for more avenues for me to sit on board of directors and um, get to know people that got the kind of money that I wanted to have. I still try to strive for it, but you know what I'm saying? That opened up
Yes.
the round for connection
Yes.
for me.
Yeah, yeah. They're the experience. There are things that they can share. I would probably post a link to that organization on my YouTube channel as well
Yeah.
for this episode. Now, this has been an excellent conversation, and this is a question that if you've been interviewed, it's not an original question, but it's good to get perspective. When you look at the things that you've accomplished thus far, you have a lot more still to accomplish in the future. Would you tell your younger self to do certain things differently, or would you have any advice that you would give yourself?
I would tell my younger self to keep doing what I did. Because in every moment, every challenge, every success, every plateau, everything, there was wisdom. And I think the only way that I would have been able to get to where I am today is, to keep doing what I did. So I wouldn't change anything about that. What was the second part of the question?
Basically, you answer the question like, what would you give yourself as advice? Because you
Keep
have
moving
done a
forward.
lot of things.
Just keep
Yeah.
itching
Okay.
forward. I wouldn't do anything different and have faith. Don't be so hard on myself. I was very, very hard on myself, and I still am at times, but don't be so hard on myself. And everything has a phase, a cycle. Everything, everything. That's why we have the 4 seasons and the 12 months and the
Yes.
28 to 31 days in a month. Everything has a cycle. The moon has a
The
cycle.
cycle of
Sun,
life.
right. So this too shall pass. Just keep moving
Mhm.
forward, taking those baby steps forward, and don't listen to the naysayers. Don't let that get in here. Stay true to yourself, what's in here, and you will be successful. You hear so many times how so many athletes or celebrities or people in business, you know, didn't let that naysayer in here stop them after a naysayer out here implanted something in here. So, yeah, just keep moving forward. If it's meant to
With
happen, it'll happen. And if it's not, then it's something else that you're meant to do.
Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today. So, what an incredible conversation with Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson. From breaking barriers in Silicon Valley to redefining what it means to reinvent yourself and live blissfully. She showed us that innovation isn't just about building businesses, it's about building a life you were meant to live. Now, if today's episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on the wisdom Dr. Lawson shared. Which part of her journey inspired you the most? And how can you apply it in your own path forward? Now, remember, transformation begins with one decision, one step, and the belief that you can rise above any obstacle. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave us a rating and a review, but only if you enjoyed our episode. And as always, keep innovating, keep creating, and never stop unveiling the innovator in you. Until next time, I'm your host, A.D. Edwards, signing off.
This is Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled. And now your host, A.D. Edwards.